Another rivalry game is in the books. The tradition continues, and once again, the Utes were victorious. A 7th straight victory over BYU, 19-13. Welcome to a Utes edition of Sports Beat on the KSL TV app. I'm Jeremiah Jensen. Now, there's a lot of things we could dissect from this rivalry game when it comes to Utah. The penalties, the red zone issues, third down conversions, 3 of 14. That's not good enough. But I'm going to focus on a really positive element. It's not just this game, also the North Dakota game. It's become very clear why Tyler Huntley was the choice in camp to be the starting quarterback for the Utes. He has been spectacular. 380-plus yards of total offense against BYU. He got it done with his arm. He got it done with his legs. Yes, the Utes should have scored a lot more points, could have done a lot better in the red zone, but man, Tyler is dynamic. The Utes have certainly found a quarterback with a tremendous amount of potential. Kyle Whittingham talked about Tyler Huntley, the progress he's made in the first 2 games at his press conference on Monday.
Well, he's a true dual-threat quarterback. I think it was, as I mentioned after the game, probably a little heavy as far as how many carries he had, but you know, the true dual threats in this country, the Louisville kid and the quarterbacks that are the same style as Tyler, the same production. I mean, that's just how it is. He's in charge of the offense, and he's going to be a big part of the run game each week. We just, as I mentioned after the game, need to supplement some of that run game with the running backs a little bit better. We had leaned a little too heavily on Tyler last week, running the football, but he's a really good runner. I mean, as you can see, I mean, he's a very capable runner, and thought he did an excellent job throwing the football. 75% completion percentage, 300 yards, no picks. Just did a lot of good things.
Yes, he did do a lot of good things, and he mentioned the run game for Tyler Huntley. That's where he's really the difference maker, and where they really, really had him maybe too much in that game running the football. But, you know, he's got the option in some of those situations to give it or to keep it, and he kept it a lot. In fact, he kept it 18 times. And this is where you have a concern with Tyler Huntley, is how many times can he carry the ball and not get down and not get out of bounds and take a big hit before he finally takes a hit that knocks him out for a game or 2 or 3 or 4.
Well, one of the differences is he's a lot like Taysom Hill in the sense that he can throw the ball. He's a dynamic runner. The difference was Taysom was 240. Tyler Huntley's $190, soaking wet with, and you saw that BYU fans were constantly saying, Taysom, you can't be running every single time. You can't run every single time. But the fact was, the quarterbacks have the confidence in themselves. And Tyler Huntley, you could see on that first drive, he's like, I am not going to let this team stall on offense. I don't care what happens. That's why he held the ball every single time. He was like, re-drive, oh, no, I'm taking it. And it's difficult to go through an entire season. But when it's working, and it happened the same thing with Taysom Hill, when it's working, boy, it's dynamic. And he's absolutely makes an unstoppable offense. And you saw 300 yards, almost 100 yards rushing, really impressive. That's my concern, is the durability. Can he hold up?
Well, after 2 games he is, and you know that's certainly my concern. And you know what happened to Taysom Hill with all that running, but you know Kyle compared him to Lamar Jackson, and Lamar Jackson's done pretty well for himself with that style of play. And obviously Tyler has a long way to go to get to that level, a Heisman Trophy type level. But you understand the comparison. You see that dynamic ability, the dual threat ability that Tyler Huntley has. Now, Kyle Whittingham is not as concerned as I am and many other fans are about his durability.
Yeah, well, the less hits, the better. But he's a very good runner. He's physical. He runs much more physically than his stature. You know, he's only 190 pounds, and so he's a very good runner inside. But for longevity's sake, you know, we hope we can do a little more, be a little more evasive and not taking those direct shots. You know, those direct shots are the ones that really start to add up. And so, you know, as long as he's being smart and looking for those creases in the defense, I think we'll be okay.
This is just how Tyler Huntley's going to play. He's a football player. He's aggressive. Now, it's not just in the run game where he can put himself in harm's way. It's also been in the pass game. He's fearless, stepping in the pocket and firing a shot downfield, knowing he's going to get hit by a defensive end. Now, every Sunday on Sports Beat, Christian Cox, David Nixon come on the show. They break down film, and you remember there was a big pass play he had to C.O.C. Wilson. in that second quarter, if I remember correctly, he took a big shot, and Christian and David break down on that play and show us why Tyler Huntley, another example of why he's so special.
Yeah, Tyler Huntley, he's the real deal. You can see exactly why they went with him over Troy Williams. He's ultra efficient, and he had a great night.
Well, last week against North Dakota, we saw a play where he's stuck in the pocket, knew he's about to get hit, and here's a perfect example right here. He's getting bared down on by Taki, but delivers a blow, but he's able to still deliver the ball off his front foot and throws a bomb and leads the receiver into the ball.
That's what's so perfect about the throw, right? Not only does he stay in there, he leads C.O.C. Wilson ahead of him, and he throws it 54 yards while being drilled, comes up with a huge play for Utah to get some momentum in their favor, and he had a completion percentage over 70%. He threw for over 300 yards, had a heck of a night.
It's really hard for us to understand how much courage it takes to do that, to stand in the pocket and get hit by Sione Taki, but he has that kind of courage. He doesn't care. He wants to make a play. He calls himself a playmaker, and he's backing it up. Now, another skill that he has is improvisation. Now, the only touchdown of the game for the Utes was scored on a broken play. Christian and David break it down.
You look at the only touchdown. It was a broken play.
Busted play.
But how about the athleticism from Tyler Huntley?
Yeah, this is like you said earlier, this is why Utah decided to go with Huntley. But basically, you're going to have Zach Moss go to the wrong side. He goes left instead of right, and so Huntley's just, doing a little play action to nobody there. And what happens, though, is Huntley reads it. He says, okay, I've got a couple defenders on my left. I know I've got a seal block on my right side. Let me cut it back, use my athleticism, and is able to dive into the end zone. So good field awareness, good vision by Huntley to cut it back and result in the only touchdown for the night.
And what you may or may not have seen is the actual tackle running his way out. Jackson Barton, Uatafe, wash him all the way down. That's what creates this lane, just enough space for Tyler Huntley to get through. And the big touchdown for Tyler Huntley at this point.
And that's so important, such a great skill for Tyler Huntley to have, because you still have a sophomore running back in Zach Moss that's trying to get comfortable and trying to learn the offense. You've got an offensive line that outside of Celeste Uatafe is very inexperienced. And so to have a quarterback, when things break down, that can make a play like that, that's really going to help the Utes this season as some of these younger guys come along and get more comfortable. Now, this is what I want to see when Utah plays San Jose State. Get rid of the penalties. You got to fix the penalties. You got to score touchdowns in the red zone, not field goals. If they score touchdowns on those drives against BYU, we're having a completely different conversation about that game. And they've also got to convert on third down. Those are three things that really have to change. But I want to see Tyler Huntley and this Utah offense explode against San Jose State. 8 p.m. Mountain Time, kickoff on Saturday. We've got you covered on SportsBeat.